let's check out every one of Apple's new silicone cases and a few extras for the iPhone 17 line. Real quick, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest Apple news and reviews, hit that subscribe button. Every year, like clockwork, when Apple introduces new phones, it also introduces a slew of new accessories, mainly cases. In this video, I'm going to walk you through all of Apple's silicone cases, pointing out a few of their cool little details and touches, as well as all the new colors, and I'm going to show you Apple's exclusive cases for the iPhone Air, and some really cool Beats ones as a bonus. Let's get into it. Apple Silicone Case is a standby. It gets updated every year, and in fact, multiple times a year, as it usually introduces seasonal colors like in the spring. For the launch, there are 6 primary colors for the Pros and a few extras for the non-Pro, just the base iPhone 17. There is no silicone case for the iPhone Air. The colors of the silicone cases this year for the Pro models is neon yellow here. We also have black, tried and true. Of course, we have to have a black one. This is the black this year. We have a dark blue, very dark blue, nothing too crazy about it. Dark blue version. We have purple fog. It is a little bit gray, little bit purple, so it's a dark purple, which is a touch of gray in there. Still looks very nice. All these dark colors for the Pros. Then we have, I believe, terracotta. This is basically a tan color, bricky brown tan color here. Terracotta. And then finally, we have the orange. They just call it orange, but of course it could pair very well with the cosmic orange iPhone 17 Pro or the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Let's talk about the design. So the silicone case has not changed all that much, but there are a few things that are new this year. To start, the buttons on the side. Apple says they reworked all the buttons on their cases and they're more clicky than ever. They seem pretty similar to me, but I can see how they are separated out maybe a little bit more. Apple also decided not to go with a two-tone button design. With the silicone cases of the past, the buttons were usually a darker color that matched the case they were in. Now the buttons are the same color as the body of the case itself. Apple also has added new lanyard anchors to the bottom of the case. There are 2 holes on the left, 2 holes on the right that can be used with Apple's own crossbody lanyard or the slew of third-party lanyards that I'm sure are going to be hitting the market. They have been pretty prevalent for years, and now that Apple's kind of like officially endorsing crossbody slings and lanyards and wristlets, I'm sure we're going to see a whole lot more this year. The silicone wraps all the way around these cases. It goes all the way around the sides, the back, but it does not go over the camera bump. There's actually a plastic ring there, which is a little bit more protective than the actual silicone. So it's a little more protective and rigid around the camera bump itself. On the inside is a very suede-like microfiber lining. You can also see the little designator for MagSafe. All of the silicone cases support MagSafe on Qi 2 chargers. Works really handy. Adjust your phone to different orientations. It's fantastic. You can also use different MagSafe accessories, whether they are wallets or battery packs, anything like that. Apple does support the camera control. Nice little touch that the camera control button does color match the color of the case. For the terracotta one here, it's like, a brownish button to match, just a little bit darker, but it is nice and it retains all the same functionality as not using a case. So you can get like the little double tap and swiping, all of those cool features just with the case actually on. Now this feature isn't directly on the case itself, but more with iOS, but it does relate to the cases. With iOS 26, now when you are tinting the color of your icons, you can actually choose to match the case you have on your phone. See, Apple's cases actually have NFC chips built into them. When you put it onto your phone, there's this cool little animation that spreads across the screen that matches the phone case. So it knows what color the case is. So it uses that when you are tinting your icon colors and you have an Apple case attached, you'll be able to choose the color of your case to tint your icons. It's a really neat little trick, kind of similar to how on Apple Watch, Apple usually has the different, watch band colors as digital colors that you can choose, but it does it automatically for you when you go into that color picker. So that's a really cool little touch for the silicone cases. When it comes to durability, Apple silicone cases are good, but probably not the best. There are definitely a lot more on the market that are more durable, more robust. But for me, I like minimalism. Like if I'm going to put a case on my phone, I want something that's decently protective, but still thin and kind of minimalist at the same time, which is why I typically do like Apple silicone cases. My biggest problem with them is the amount of lint, dust, and hair that they seem to attract. Now, I've been fighting this throughout this video as I'm doing shots, trying to get every little piece of dust or cat hair off of these cases, but when you put them into your pocket, they collect everything. And it always drives me crazy. And it's not just Apple's cases, it's any silicone case. But I do just want to point that out so people are aware it's always going to be a thing with silicone cases. And Apple's are really no different. This may be the most divisive case of them all. Let's take a look at the clear case. I'll be honest, there isn't usually a lot to talk about with Apple's clear cases. I mean, this is Apple's clear case from last year. It's what they've looked like for years, where you can see the MagSafe magnets there in the center, and that is about it. That's Apple's clear case. Well, this year, Apple has put this opaque panel there on the bottom. This is basically inset to match the glass portion of the back on the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Now, the reason Apple kind of had to do this has to do with the logo. Apple actually put the logo in the middle of that glass part on the back of the new phones, rather than in the center of the phone itself. Now, if Apple were to put this on the actual phone and had this clear with the magnets, that logo would hit just about there, like right in the middle of that MagSafe circle. Third-party case manufacturers are getting around that by stopping the circle and leaving a big old gap there. Apple did not want to do that. They wanted the full ring of magnets, so instead of overlapping with their own logo that you can see here on that white portion, they opted just to clone the glass portion with white on its clear case. I do think it would have looked better had they maybe color matched these to the phones, so when you put them on, you couldn't even tell that this was here. It just matched the phone. But going with white has people, getting opinions. I don't know if I like it or don't like it. I'm not 100% yet, but either way, this is Apple's new design for its clear case. Let me know down below in the comments, what do you think? What do you think of Apple's new design for its clear case? Apple also has two cases for the iPhone Air. The first is a modified version of its clear case. It comes in two different colors. This is Frost. As you can see by my hand underneath of it, it has just a little bit of a frostiness to it. The second version of this is called Shadow, and it's the same thing, but it has a darker tint to it, and it will look different depending on the phone that you have. But yeah, still incredibly thin, still has support for the camera control, moving buttons, very nice feeling clear case. Then Apple has done it. They brought back the bumper. The famed bumper from the iPhone 4 era, I believe. It has come back for the Air. Now, when I was testing this out at the Apple event, they are a bit tricky to get on and off, and the secret is here at the bottom. They actually have two little grooves. You can't even see one there and one there, where it's a more flexible material. You can see it as I kind of move it. So you have to use that to your advantage to get these on and off, because the rest of it is all very rigid. But these come in 4 different colors. There's like a light gray, this light blue, a tan, and a black. I love these. They do support the lanyard. The only thing that I think could make these better is if Apple had used metal buttons down the side, kind of like how they used to do. I just think that would make this an even better bumper case for the iPhone Air. So these are Apple's exclusive cases for the Air. There is no silicone or tech woven case for the Air, just these two, and of course all the third-party options. As a bonus, let's take a look at a few of the new Beats cases. Beats actually has 3 cases. There's the standard Beats case that's on the smaller side. There's the Beats kickstand case, and then we have the rugged case. This is the most expensive of the lot, and it comes in, I think, 4 different colors. So let's go ahead and open this one up. Again, just like the rest of them, this is for the 17 Pro. I do like all the colors, and the Beats ones here are a little bit more vibrant than some of the Apple ones, and they have some really cool two-tone finishes. Here are all of the Beats rugged cases. They come in blue, which has some lighter blue accents there on the side, as well as there with the microfiber lining on the inside. They have a gray version, which has a bright neon yellow accent to it. You can see it all on the buttons, as well as there on the microfiber lining on the inside. We have orange, darker black or dark gray on the buttons to accent this one, as well as again on the inside there. And then we have black, which is using that neon yellow for the buttons and on the inside. So those are the four colors: black, orange, gray, and blue in these Beats rugged cases, which again, just really fun kind of colors that Apple doesn't do with its cases. Really going poppy this year, especially for the Pro line. I like it. I hope we see more of this kind of trend from Apple and its Beats subsidiary. So with these rugged cases, they are definitely thicker. If we turn around and you look at the sides, they are pretty bulky. Like, it still feels like a thin case. It doesn't feel like I'm holding anything larger. But when we look like maybe perhaps around the cord or the charging cutout there at the bottom, you can just see how thick that actually is. You may have problems with some USB-C cables fitting into such a deep hole for that USB-C port. They just feel a lot thicker around the sides, which is why this is the more durable, rugged case. Along the back, we also have this kind of like knurling going on that you can also feel. So this is extra texture, extra grip on the bottom of the case, basically where you're holding it, that's where all that texture is. And then the top, this part here is all smooth plastic. Lastly, to point out, it does have the camera control right here. Camera control is recessed in because they still have that touch sensitive button, but I like how big they made this cutout here. So it feels really comfortable. When you go to pick this up, your finger kind of just slides right there into position, and it's perfect. So this is going to be the same kind of glass little surface that are on Apple. So you're going to get all your touch sensitivity through that. You do have MagSafe on the inside that you would expect, but these are them. They are very cool. The Beats rugged case for the iPhone 17 Pro. So that's it. Those are Apple's silicone and clear case for the iPhone 17 line, and even the cases for the iPhone Air. Let me know if you're going to pick up any of these down below in the comments. Which one is your favorite? Do you like any of these designs? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to learn more about the tech woven cases, check out the other video that I did that covers those in much more detail. Otherwise, subscribe to follow for more Apple news, and I'll see you all in the next video.